Hi, Gloria Donahue from Nana's Cookery. Welcome to my kitchen for the first time or as a return visitor. And thank you to everybody who was concerned about my health, why I wasn't on. I'm fine. And as you can see, I've been to France recently. I always wear a new apron if I get one. We're going to make an interesting brownie today. Brownies are a very typical American goodie. In fact, people will say, do you like cake brownies or fudgy brownies? Because they can be of different types. They can have nuts or no nuts. This one's very unusual because it has miniature marshmallows in it. And what that does is it gives a great moistness to it, and they're definitely a fudgy brownie. They're better the next day, but then they keep for 2 or 3 days really well. We're going to start over here at the stove. And the first thing we're going to do is have 2 sticks or 8 ounces of butter. And it can be unsalted butter or salted butter. I don't think it makes a huge difference. And 4 ounces of unsweetened chocolate. And that comes in a box similar to this. Might be a different brand, but it's unsweetened chocolate. And it's 4 ounces. And we're going to break it into smaller pieces. Remember, we've talked before that things in smaller pieces will melt more evenly. I'm not going to break them up more than that because they're pretty hard to cut. Now, over a medium-high heat, I'm going to stir them until both the butter and the chocolate is melted. The chocolate and the butter have melted. I'm going to add 2 cups of sugar. And now I'm going to stir that over heat until that sugar melts. So we're just going to stir it. Be careful when you're dealing with heat over a hot stove. But the interesting thing about these brownies too is you don't use a mixer at all. Everything you do is over the stove and then just off the stove in the pan. So you can still see the sugar. It's quite granular. And I don't know whether I'll get it all melted, but I'm certainly going to let it heat over a medium-low heat until I feel that more of it is melted. This is our mixture now. You know, all that sugar has not quite dissolved, but I have found in the past that that's really enough. It's much looser than when I started, and that's fine. Now I'm going to put it aside for 15 minutes. And remember, when you're cooking, there's always a reason for every direction that you're given, although you may not understand it. And this one says, let it cool for 15 minutes, because then you're going to add eggs. And if I added eggs to that right now, I would have cooked eggs, not eggs in a batter. So that I'm just going to put this aside for 15 minutes till it's a little cooler, and then we're going to finish with it. Well, we're ready to move along with our brownie mix. I've put 1 egg in, and I have 3 more to put in. And you know my rule. If you've ever watched before, I always break the egg into a cup first. If I ever go a year without any shell, then I'll do it directly, but it hasn't happened yet. Now, if you do get a little piece of shell, the easiest way to get it out is to use the shell itself to go out, and that little sharp edge will help pick it up. While I'm doing this, I'm mixing up. I want to thank you for all the wonderful comments. I had no idea when we started this that it would end up going around the world. I looked, and in the last 4 weeks, this was viewed in 147 countries. That is an amazing thing, and I am very grateful to you watching, and I hope that you're enjoying it. I get the wonderful comments, but I have to say, I'm using my own food in my own kitchen, and then I'm going to eat it. The credit really does go to my grandson, who films it. He puts all the things in his truck, brings the stuff down, does all the filming, carts it home, does all the editing, and does all the YouTube work. So really, the credit should go to Tom Miller, my grandson. So I'm going to beat in these eggs, just mix them in. There's not really much in these brownies, and as you can see, there's not a whole lot of flour because it's going in a 13 by 9 pan, but it's only going to take a cup of flour. A cup of flour. Once I get this egg all mixed in, we're done with the eggs. So I'm going to mix in 1 cup of flour and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And there was a tad of something else here. Let's see, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, just a tad, just a bit. And I'm going to mix that all in. Everything is mixed in. And now we're going to add 2 cups of miniature marshmallows. Now, if you can't get miniature marshmallows, I'm sure you could get big ones and just cut them in smaller pieces, enough to make 2 cups. But these are readily available at most American grocery stores, and they're just called miniature marshmallows. So we're putting those in. And then we're going to put 12 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate bits in. Again, these are available in the baking aisle of most food store, and it's the whole package because 12 ounces is 2 cups. So we're going to put that all in. Now it's going to be harder and harder to mix. While I'm doing this, I have to tell you, I did take a trip to France in the spring with my husband, and one of the most interesting places we went was, believe it or not, to an oyster farm. We saw how oysters were raised and harvested, and it really makes you appreciate all the hard work that people do to bring you food. And then I shucked my first oyster, and then I felt I had to eat it. That'll probably be my first and last raw oyster. My husband loves them, but I think that was a one-time only for me. But it was just so interesting to see how it all worked. This is all mixed in now. As you can see, this is just loaded with marshmallows and chocolate. And we're going to pour this into a greased 13 by 9 pan. And we're going to cook it at 350. And we're going to cook it for 30 to 35 minutes. And I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. Just make sure you put it into all the corners. As you can just see, it's just loaded with stuff. And to be honest, when you're not looking, I'm going to lick the pan. Now it goes in the oven. Hi. We're going to let the brownies are out of the oven. We're going to let them cool. And remember, these will be better tomorrow. Aren't they funny with all those little bubbles with the marshmallows? Trust me, they're really good. Thanks again for watching. Come back to Nana's Cookery. Bye-bye.